What's going on, guys? Construe Customs back. Not with the RBZ this time. We have a side quest on our hands. In this video, we're going to be welding some dash fittings onto a BMW water pump housing. And we're also going to be making the bracket for the electric power steering pump. I don't know why I said it like that. For Mitsubishi Eclipse. It's one of my friend's race cars. I can't remember if it's the all-wheel drive version or not, but this is a great upgrade, and it's actually an upgrade that I want to do with the RBZ32 later on, because with an electric water pump, you get to cool the engine down more efficiently. The theory behind it is that when you're on the highway and you're driving at high rated speeds, the water pump is working a lot more, but you have a lot of airflow. So you're overcooling the engine. And then when you're sitting in traffic, you're not cooling the engine enough because the water pump is working at idle, making the coolant flow a lot slower. With an electric water pump, you can reverse that and slow the coolant flow down on the highway and speed it up when you're at idle. It's also great for the track, especially when you can go into the computer and just dial in parameters the way that you want it, so you can have like maximum efficiency in the cooling system. It's also going to be great for tuning as well, because we can regulate temperatures a lot better, which means we can see peak power more often. But without further ado, let's get into this welding. Okay, so one thing to note is safety first, always. We have our safety glasses on, we got our welding mask. I wear a respirator often, especially when working with stainless steel, just to avoid the vapors that are coming from the metal while I'm welding. And we also have our fan here to suck the vapors away. It's not as common with aluminum to have that stuff kind of come towards you and be super toxic, but just in case. I mean, you want to protect your lungs, your vision, your skin at all costs when it comes to doing this type of stuff. So safety is very important. We already have our piece prepped. We prepped the surfaces of our dash fittings, and we also prepped the surface of our flange here. We grinded it down, made sure it was nice and clean, and we used some acetone to wipe everything down afterwards. So we'll see how it welds. It's cast aluminum that we're welding to billet aluminum essentially. So yeah, I'm not super excited for that, but let's see how it works out. Okay, so it took us a little while to do the water pump, and I'll explain why. The water pump is cast aluminum, and it's always a pain in the ass to weld cast aluminum. Like, I hate welding cast aluminum because there's like so much junk in it. Like, it's not pure aluminum. So when you go to weld it, you'll see a lot of like silicates, magnesium, and stuff like that kind of float to the surface. That makes it a little bit harder to weld. So typically what you want to do is clean the surface really good, basically fight with it, it seems like, the whole time, welding a bead around the cast aluminum for where you're going to actually weld. And then you want to grind that down and prep that surface. Make that a really clean surface so you're welding on fresh, weldable aluminum. And it sucks. I've seen it with brand new, like this pump is brand new cast aluminum that like a manifold or something that a friend wants me to weld, and it's dirty, and you go to clean it as much as you can, and somehow you still end up fighting with it as a welder. But we made some decent beads on it. Honestly, it's not my best as far as aluminum goes. And my friend in this spot, he has a lathe, and he was machining this portion here, and accidentally cut down a little too far. So we also ended up having to fill a hole again on cast aluminum, and it's just pretty thin aluminum as well. So that was a challenge, but we got it done nonetheless. It's cooling off now. I think this is pretty cool. We could take a look at it. Again, like I said, it's not my best for welding, but at the same token, I'm not going to fret myself over it. It's cast aluminum, and that's hard as fuck to weld. Like, aluminum is already apparently pretty hard, but cast is even worse. Now we have some decently clean aluminum. He got this plate at Alro and made these brackets here to go onto our electric pump. So I got the back tacked up. We're 1 1/16 in on each side, and we wanted to make sure that the actual flat piece here of the bracket is flush with the actual pump, as you can see there. So we're gonna weld this up. I have it tacked, and what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and unbolt it from the pump itself and set it down on the bench. That way we could get our welds in. Okay, so we prepped our piece and we fitted it up, made sure that it's what we needed. Now we're gonna go ahead and run a bead on it, and we'll do both sides, let it cool down, and put it back on our pump. So on this part, I was talking through the hood. I think the microphone ended up turning itself off. But what we're doing is we're just running a bead down both sides of our brackets to the flat plate and getting them secured in place permanently. We're going to speed this portion up here because it did take a little while. One thing that you will note that I did, and I'll show it at the end, was we got a little too hot for the thickness of aluminum that we were running. So you can see that in the final product. You want to make sure that you're taking your time and you're not dipping your tungsten into the weld pool, which happened a couple times, and you can see that earlier. It happened with the cast aluminum as well, which is why it's great to have a tungsten grinder nearby. That way you could clean up your tungsten and keep going. And you also don't want to accidentally run your filler wire right onto your tungsten as well and Q-tip it. So tungsten grinders are super awesome. I would say if you're welding, you definitely need one on hand. What we're gonna do now is just inspect our piece, make sure that there's no pockets, we didn't miss anything, and we'll brush it. I like to brush it in one direction, and I'm using a stainless steel brush, but this one is dedicated to only doing aluminum work. And I like brushing it in one direction because it makes the piece look a little bit cleaner. All the brush strokes are in one direction. I know it's something really nuance of me, but you know, whatever can get you the leg up over the other guy will make your welds like look a little bit better and everything, then cool. But yeah, you can see here, it's not the greatest. And again, like, we haven't done aluminum in a little while, but you know, we'll have some better ones coming here shortly. And you can see on this one, it looks nice, but you can see my start stops are a lot more prominent, which you kind of want to make sure that those are blended in nice and hard to tell. And you can see that the way that the weld was shaped, that we definitely got a little too hot. But we got it done nonetheless, and it fit the pump perfectly fine the way that we needed it to. Morning, I got the day off of the day job, so we're gonna run a couple errands and complete our side quest. We're gonna take the Z for this one, since we gotta drive over to the Nissan dealership to pick up a spring for the RB, and we're gonna be taking our side quest project from welding the other day, as you can see in there, and drop that off at Dynasty. So I'm gonna take you guys for the journey with me. It'll be something quick though, and probably let you guys meet some of the guys at Dynasty. We finally made it to Dynasty. So we're gonna meet up with our guy, drop off our side project to him, our side quest to him, and that way he could get his project rolling again. Side quest complete. We got our front cover for the water pump onto our actual BMW water pump now. We're gonna control it with this Davies Craig water pump modulator controller. If you're running a Haltech, you can just use the inputs inside the computer in order to control the water pump, but it just, like I said before, it allows for more efficiency and more control over the cooling of the engine. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. That's the end of this episode. Our side quest went smooth for what it was. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with all the new things that we have going on here at Construed Customs. We will have a few other side quests coming up shortly, and possibly a few more things going on with the Z32. So stay tuned. Till then, stay safe.